Oh, here we are again now, and it's like no time has passed. Gazing out upon the sunset as it sinks into the night. Many times it seemed as though a given day might be our last. Face to face with certain death, it's somehow coming out alright. I don't think that we have any cause to lament, but there's quite a lot of thrilling intent, thrilling intent, thrilling intent, thrilling intent.
You pass the time chatting with your companions new and old. It seems like an entire night passes by in a flash, and next thing you know, it's your responsibility to create yet another dungeon. By your estimation, this will probably be the very last one. Crowhenge is gonna hit splashdown pretty soon, and everything's going to look a whole lot damper. So, everyone girding themselves to enter the castle once more, you gather up in the hub room, and you travel in, cards held in hand, ready to assemble a dungeon worthy of your final adversaries. A group of adventurers crosses the salt flats, striding between the bodies, the horrible twisted remnants created by the tear in Castle Crowhenge. They're exceptionally experienced. Even a journey like this through theoretically enemy territory proves no trouble to them, and they arrive at the castle doors. They slowly shove them open. Oddly, they seem slightly damaged from a strike from something that had to be at least 7-8 feet high. It appears that this door was busted off of its hinges once. They disregard that and travel inside. The grandiose hall shrinking down into the classic, almost closet-like rooms that you've grown exceptionally used to. They press a hand to the door, giving form to the constructed, falsified dungeon that you've created, and they look across at the ossuary. These two warriors travel in, the very best that Steel Point has to offer. You believe their last hope at stopping the castle before it reaches the ocean.
Whoa! A boneyard!
You think this room has any more bones?
The skeletons begin to rattle as you step within the room.
Oh, good. I was worried that this was going to be boring.
You look across the room, positively festooned with bones. Skeletons hang from every wall, and as you...
You know what, Reggie? I think we're done with the flavor text thing.
No, wait, my box text, though.
No, I think we're done. I think we're done here. I think it's time to move on to the next phase. You know what I mean?
It's boring to kill the same thing twice.
Exactly, and I've killed everything that has a skeleton like this. And with those words, Nanook drags out this massive hunk of iron that's not even really a sword. It's basically just a big metal club with rivets and dents from constant combat, a life that she's led for the past who knows how long. She drags them across the skeletons with this just sickening skid, and it would rattle the eardrums of anybody else who wasn't used to it, but she knows it too well, and she cuts through the air.
And Reginald is half deaf.
Reggie's used to it.
Yeah, she drags it across, popping all the skulls beneath her feet like fucking popcorn, and just swings this ugly club up, something that's too big and heavy to be called a sword, up, and then straight down, slicing not only through the air, but through the fabric of the castle itself. She slams the ground, and for a second, the room goes dark.
That was the softest metadimensional wall I've ever had to tear down.
A secondary tear being ripped open through the flesh of the ossuary like fucking tissue paper. You step through and go into the hub room. You You take a step ahead, your final companion a little slower than you, taking a little bit extra time to catch up. Wasting no time, walk into the hub room.
Hey, do you guys think that they found the confetti and all of those gold
Ah,
coins that we
there's
hid
the
in the
boss.
skulls?
No!
Wait, what?
What?
Ah, here we are. The big man and all the little mans.
I am actually a full-size man, I'll have you know.
Uh-huh. Reginald takes out a sword and stabs it into the ground.
Wait, no.
You have a split second. Like, all of this is a little too shocking for you guys to process immediately. However, in a moment, Harlock, your eyes light up. You see Reginald reach into his coat and pull out a sword. This sort of, oh god, dusty, rusted type thing. And at first it seems completely unremarkable, completely unimportant, but something about it calls to you. And your eyes, trained as they were, see the alchemical runes whirling beneath the surface. Gregor, you see this too. But for that split second, you have no idea what the heck it means. You're inexperienced with magic, mostly just screaming a warning bell that is bad. Harlock, you have an instant to react to this thing.
Yeah, Harlock immediately takes a step forward and launches her arm at the same time as if to try and get it there a little bit faster.
Your arm darts forward trying to intercept the sword before it touches the ground, and in midair, you hear a clang, and it flies off course. The third member of this party stepped in just in time through the tear and braced on a crutch through a knife that guided your arm off course. It slams into the ethereal nothingness of the hub room as you look up and see your dear younger brother, Emil. And for a second, you freeze. And that second is enough for Reginald to drive the sword into the flesh of the castle, and everything goes dark.
Die, floor!
From the abyss, you hear a howl as something extra-dimensional, beyond extra-dimensional, extra-dimensional, begins to rip its way through the castle, and you feel yourself moving. The very air around you revolting against this new presence that's been introduced. On a nearby plain, under the light of the sun, whatever sun there is in Freark, Divian separates himself from the subterranean base of Underpoint. He wanders the salt flats, getting his pretty nice church robe dirty, and takes some steps out,
symbolic.
taking steps out and partially sinking into the muck. He looks around back at Steel Point and hears movement back there, looks at the now approaching Crowhenge, kinda shakes his head and pulls out what appears to be almost a shard of glass, pitch black, ugly, almost covered in an oil-like sheen, and he places a bony finger up against it and applies a little bit of pressure, and a crack runs alongside of it. And it sort of bends in half, and he places it up to an ear.
You fucker!
That's fine. He looking back at Crowhenge, looking back at Steel Point, he shakes his head. Yeah, so problems have exacerbated themselves. Unfortunately, things didn't go exactly as we predicted, but I like to think we're still on course. Yeah, I didn't expect my chosen champions to defect to the castle's side for the second time. That's frustrating. He looks down. Sure, yeah. I think it's workable from this point. I absolutely think it is. If he finds his way to the other side, everything will work out completely fine, but as it stands right now, the church will pose their own problem, and without my own guiding hand, I don't necessarily think I can... Yeah. No, 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 no. I'm sure the Ashen Knight will pose a problem, as usual, yes. Okay, hold on a second. They're moving at the place I was hiding out. He puts the shard of dragon glass down as as on all sides, he's suddenly surrounded by Knights of the Order, paladins from Steel Point above. They stop and point their blades at him. Are you a civil? Wait, no, those are the garbs of the church. What are you doing out here? They start to move closer. Oh, frustrating. What do I say at this point? He thinks. It's been a while since he's had to lie directly to a member of the church. He's so used to lying to the Alarani. So much easier. They don't check rank or anything like that. They just check how bright your smile is. And, you can hide a lot more behind that smile when you're talking to the Alarani. Oh, Bishop Divian, what are you... Wait a second. This man takes a step forward. You went missing months ago. Where have you been? Oh, still missing. Okay, that's useful. Glad you didn't find the body. That makes my job a little bit easier. His grin widens a little bit. The paladins all freeze, not 100% processing exactly what happened. And in a moment, there's a flick and the ugly grinding sound of metal as 4 bodies hit the ground, and an ugly bony tail rests on the ground. It quickly, with a snap, retracts up beneath the robe, and Divian lets out a sigh. Where was I? Looks down at the dragon glass. Oh my god, I broke my message stone. Oh. I'm gonna have to go back. Oh. Starts to rub his temples. Okay. Well, with a little bit of luck, this'll all work itself out. I'll be back for you. Looks back at Crowhenge, almost with a purpose. You can count on that much. He starts to say, as he watches the castle begin to change and shift, a ripple forming in the air, the exact moment that Reginald Wondergun plunged that sword into the ground. The intervening space between both Steel Point and Crowhenge starts to grow hazy and indistinct. The stonework and the high steel walls actually begin to sort of bleed and slip, almost like that trendy modern art you see around Oleron. And in a moment, Steel Point and Crowhenge, from an outside perspective, almost seem to slip and fuse together. The two, the bastion of ultimate good and the temple of ultimate evil, sort of colliding and contorting into one. Divian looks at that, blinks a few times, looks down at his broken messaging stone, the only one he still had. Oh yeah, I'm definitely leaving. Raises a hand in the air. An almost pointed finger resting on what a few moments ago was a completely pale and almost clammy hand is now twisted and red, the fingernail pointed to an extreme. He presses it up against the air, drags it through space, and opens a horrible gaping rift. Takes a look at the castle, salutes one time, steps through, and with a howl, vanishes into the abyss below.